Hello and welcome to Gadget Guide USA. Thanks for watching my Vandesail rechargeable and waterproof dog training collar product review. As you can see, I've pulled everything out of the box. There's really nothing left in there except some zip ties and the plastic it came in. But it was shipped to me in, your standard brown shipping envelope. It got here in good shape. I mean, there was a little bit of pushing on the corners, but exactly as I expected from an Amazon product. I got everything out of the box here. We have the 2 dog collars. Essentially, when you purchase it from Amazon, you have a choice of buying 1 dog collar in black or a package of 2 dog collars at a discount, and you can get black and red or double black. I actually asked for double black and regretted it a little bit. I'd rather have black and red, and we'll get more into that why here in a second. But we'll go over the box first, as we usually do. It says rechargeable and waterproof. Notice that waterproof does not include full submersion. So if your dog jumps in the lake regularly, this is probably not great for him. But I did spray it down with a hose before testing it on myself. Yes, I did shock myself with it multiple times. And actually, the water was fine. But the one thing to note weird thing about the water is it actually decreased the intensity of the shock. If my neck was really wet, then the shock was less than it is when it's really dry. I assume that's because the water is actually taking some of the current on. But that's not important. At the end of this video, I will shock myself for your enjoyment. It's not that big of a deal. You can actually control the level, and we'll get more into that here in a second. Now we're going to go over the manual. The manual's it's acceptable. You can tell that whoever wrote it English was not their first language, but as long as you read it and follow the directions, it'll get you through everything fine. So I don't know if you can read that. I know that the lights are really bright in here, so it makes it difficult to read, but it goes through welcome to the pet trainer manual, how to use it, general tips. It gives you a map of all the buttons, and it's easy to read. But essentially it breaks it down to there's some LED lights. This right here has an auto sleep function, so after about 5 minutes, both the dog collars and the remote actually turn off naturally, or like a sleep mode to save battery. But you use these arrows on the side to actually control the level. These numbers are going up. It goes from 0 to 100, and you can control the intensity of the shock. And then you can press this mode button and set it to vibration, and then you can set the mode button again, and it does like a sound. And then you can do the 4th feature, which is actually a light. So it's not, you gotta shake it to wake them up sometimes. But basically you can see that light. I don't know the purpose of the light as far as training. I believe it's just to see and make sure that the battery is still live. But there's other ways to do that, but the easiest way is to just simply set it to light and look for the blinking. There's also, you can set it to, make a sound, or it actually vibrates. And I actually really do like the vibrating function. To be honest, I'm not really a big fan wasn't a big fan of the shock collar overall. It seems like it's not humane for dogs. But after testing it myself and actually reading online about the American Humane Society and professional experts saying that, as long as the shock isn't super intensive and it's not actually causing physical pain, then it's actually a humane way to keep your dog in the fence or to stop them from barking. Just to note that these are not automatic. They require the push button. So if you're looking for a bark collar that, when the dog barks, it shocks it automatically even when you're not home, this is not the collar for you. This is a training collar. And totally different product. But this would work for stop barking. The thing is you just have to physically be there. So we're going to go over the buttons now. One half, this actually controls more than one device. This will control both collars at the same time, and when you shock one, you don't have to shock both. You push this button and there's a 1 and a 2. Essentially, right now, okay, it takes a second for him to wake up sometimes. So if the dog is sleeping or laying still and not moving at all, not barking, you can't actually shock him, which I think is actually a great safety feature. So like I said, after 5 minutes it kind of falls asleep and you kind of got to move him. You will hear this rattling, which reading the reviews online, some people are like, oh, it's poorly made, it rattles. That rattle that you're actually hearing is actually the sensor to see if the dog is moving to help wake the device up. So that rattle that you're hearing right there is actually part of the device, and it's made to do that. It's like a small metal pellet made to designed to make sure that the dog is moving for corrective action. Also in the box is, of course, this that remote and these little bags. And what these are, they include the posts. So what was in the bag was the actual unit here, and that's a separate unit. It pops out. We'll go ahead and pull it out there. And then there's a charging and a reset port underneath there. The charging port's pretty self-explanatory. You pop it open and you plug the included charge cable in. and it slides right in. And the other side is actually a reset button, and that's what you use to actually program the device when you want to program it. You just take a paper clip, stab it down in there, and it beeps. And then on the remote, you push this, the shock button, or I guess you want to call it the action button, and it'll automatically pair with it. It's a really quick process. It took about 5 seconds. But essentially, this came with the 2 collars separate, and of course everything else you see here. And the charge cable, I guess I still have it plugged in to charge, but I am planning on showing you that before the video's over. So go ahead, and as you can see here, it comes like not all the way in, so you just kind of got to work it in between these 2 tabs. It's not easy, but then again, it's not too difficult either. I mean, once you get it in there, it's a lot easier if you bend it over like this. There we go. And once you get it worked in, it's pretty easy. As you can see, I have it both set up. I didn't actually test both collars on my dog. I only tested one on my son's dog. Essentially, really, you only need to shock them once, or if they're maybe really smart, once. If they're not very smart, like my son's dog, you need to maybe shock it 2 or 3 times. After that, once they understand that they can be shocked with the collar, and you basically, I switched it to the vibrate function. So I start off with a shock, and then move to the vibrate feature. It kind of reminds them like, hey, I could be shocked. It comes with these 2 plastic bags, one for each collar, and it comes with different sets of posts. As you can see here, I have both sets of posts, one on each one. This is a shorter set of posts, and this is a longer set of posts for what I assume to be like if you have a longer, thick-haired dog or a bigger dog, you use a longer post to, penetrate that fur barrier. And if you have a shorter-haired dog, then you'd use the shorter posts or whatever's, I guess, more comfortable. It comes with these little shock testers, so essentially you can just put them right here, and then when you want to test the collar to make sure it's shocking, you just put it on the shock mode. Maybe I have it on the wrong setting. It's hard to tell them apart, and that's why I mentioned I wish I had red and black. That way you could more easily tell them apart. I don't want to accidentally shock the wrong dog. See, you can see that blinking light there, so I have this one set to number 2, and that's a way to test it without actually putting it on yourself. Of course, I'm the Gadget Guide. I normally don't take blinky lights very well, so I both broke out the digital multimeter to test the actual current and voltage. In addition, I actually strapped these collars to myself and tested it on I tested it first on 1, and then again on 20, and then again on 100. And that would be my only thing. I think 100 is a little bit too strong for dogs. I mean, even if you have a big dog, 100 is pretty stout. I feel like even for a large 60, 70 pound dog, 20 would be the highest setting I would use. And I don't know why you'd want to use 100, but hey, it comes down to personal choice. That's one of my only complaints about this device, is that actually it goes too high. So if you're watching this review today, please don't try it higher than 20, or if you want to try it on 100, try it on yourself first. I do believe that the shocking is very humane. It's not very painful. I tried it on myself. Instead of an intense pain, it really is more like an uncomfortable. It causes your muscles to twitch in your neck. I actually strapped this on. If you notice, they're actually both set to me. But it's very humane if used correctly. But if you put this on the dog and blast it over and over and over for fun or for any reason other than training, you're a bad person. So just keep that in mind. And like I said, I wouldn't recommend going over 20. It has the buttons that switch between the 2 remotes, so you control up to 2 collars. It has a light button. I couldn't figure out why you would want that, maybe if you're in the dark, but hey, it has it on there. And then it has the action button and the 4 features, the shock, the vibrate, and then it also has a tone. So if you train the dog to the vibrate or tone, I would suggest at first, when it's doing something like barking and you don't want it to bark anymore, first give it the tone so it understands what's about to happen, and then immediately after giving the tone, initiate the shock. So then the dog will associate that tone with about to be shocked. So after you shock it once or twice, and it's a purebred husky, but it's really dumb. So after shocking it twice, doing the beep, then the shock, as soon as it hears that tone, it will stop misbehaving. So I don't like the idea of shocking it. Like I said, I strapped it to myself and shocked myself before giving it to the dog just to make sure that it wasn't painful and to understand the settings. It says 0 to 100, but you really don't know what that means. It's very arbitrary until you put it on yourself. So like I said, I zeroed in on the 20. It's not a fun thing to do to yourself, but at the same time, it gives you an idea of what's going to happen to the dog, and it's only fair. The collars seem to be well made. I mean, they're exactly what you expect. That strong canvas material. It's got plastic clasps. The only complaint online that I found is that these tabs break. But I mean, I've played with these tabs. I mean, they're pretty tough. I don't see how you're breaking those tabs. Maybe you're over tightening them, or maybe if the dog was actively working to like rip this thing off, you might break those tabs. But at the same time, I found them to be absolutely sturdy. So I don't know what kind of damage you're putting them through, but I've been able to pull on this really hard without any breakage. So overall, it seems very sturdy. Don't let the rattling get you out of the way. Like I said, that's actually an electronic device inside made to see if the dog is moving. Because like I said, after 5 minutes you can see this shut off. After 5 minutes it automatically shuts off. We'll continue on with the manual. It goes over the map of what all the buttons do. It tells you the features, has 100 levels of vibration, 100 levels of static shock, meaning that when you set this number to 20, it also controls the strength of the vibration. So if you want to turn the vibration up, you can. But like I said, I would not suggest turning the shock past 20. It tells you how to charge it, and tells you how to use the transmitter and how to pair it. That was like stabbing the reset button with a pin and then pushing the action button. And it paired up really easily. It shows you how to test all the functions here, essentially how to use this to test the shock function, to listen to the beep feature, yada yada. It was pretty simple. And how to prepare the collar for use. And then it tells you how to pair it and, test it. So it's, pretty simple manual. Like I said, you can tell whoever wrote it, their first language wasn't English, but at the same time, it's well written enough where you're going to understand all the directions and be able to get the job done. So it comes with the testers and all kinds of different posts, and we like that. Just in case you have a long hair, short hair dog. Now here comes for the things I don't like about it. One thing I don't like, I feel like it goes up too high. I don't think it should go higher than 20. I'm not like a PETA person or anything like that, but at the same time I don't believe in cruelty to animals. So although I did try it on myself on 100, it didn't leave any burns. I mean, it's not horrible, but at the same time I don't see any reason to turn it past 20. My second complaint is these little plastic things. And I'm not complaining because overall this is a very solid product, but part of being a Gadget Guide is looking for anything to complain about, and that's producing an honest product review, are these little plastic tabs that provide it for waterproof. So it does prevent splashing and you won't get anything in there, but once you pull these tabs out to push the reset button or to charge it, they're kind of a pain to get back in. It only takes a few seconds, but at the same time it can get frustrating. You kind of just got to work them back in so they plug in, and you want to make sure that they do in fact plug in properly. You see that one wasn't that hard, but the first couple times it was difficult. You have to make sure that these rubber presses, or these rubber things, are pushed down so no water gets in there and ruins your device. So turns up too high. I don't like the little plastic tabs, but overall this is a solid product. Its range is fantastic. It says 300 meters. I wasn't able to test it at 300 meters, but it worked at 110 meters just fine. And my yard isn't that big, so the range is fantastic. So what you're getting out of this, you're getting fantastic range. It's a very value-priced object. It comes with an LCD remote control. All the batteries are rechargeable. You only have one cable though, so you only can charge one thing at a time. Kind of a downside, but at the same time, not the end of the world. It is a specialized plug, so you're not going to be able to easily find replacement charger cords, which I guess is a downside. But overall, I'm very satisfied with this product. It gives you lots of options, and I do like the fact that it comes with both a vibrate and a beep feature. So you can, although you do have to train the dogs using, the electrocution, once you do it once or twice, just switch over to the beep feature, switch over to the vibrate feature, whichever is more convenient for you or you feel like would train your dog better. But definitely works. I took a very energetic and kind of dumb, I love the dog, but it's dumb, energetic husky, and made it stop jumping up. And it took like less than 20 minutes. It no longer jumps up at all. I don't even have to put the collar on it. It understands it's not supposed to jump now. So overall, I'm very happy with the product. So the next thing I'm going to do is actually shock myself on camera. Now comes for the final part, of course, me actually testing on myself. I want to say it's not that secretive. I just have this dog collar here. I'm pretty sure it's number 1, but we're going to find out here shortly. It's already set to myself because I've already tested it on myself. I decided that before I actually put it on another living, breathing animal that I would put it on myself to make sure that it wasn't intensely painful or anything like that. So basically we have it set to 1. Right now I have it set to tone. You can hear it beeping there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put it on mode electricity, and we're going to go ahead and start with 1. This is essentially just so you can watch it yourself and you can watch the response. What it does, and I can tell you that it gives you 3 pulses, like one, boom, boom, boom. So 3 1-second pulses, and we're starting with 1 here. So, I mean, it's not painful. It's more just uncomfortable. I can feel like maybe not my neck muscles where I'm breathing, but like the muscles directly underneath the skin kind of spasm a little bit. Now we're going to go ahead and turn it up to 20 here, which I don't think you ever need anything higher than a 20. Even if, maybe if you have like a really hairy bull mastiff, you might want to set it on 30, but now we're on 20, and see that? I don't like that. I definitely don't want to do that again. And now we're going to go all the way up to 100, and I'm going to try it here, and I'm going to say 100 is not comfortable. It's not a pleasurable experience, but here we go, 100. Okay, that is uncomfortable. Do not set it on 100 on your animal. I decided 20 would be best for my animal, and I don't really see any reason to go beyond that. And there we go. Shocked myself for you. I do want to thank you for watching my Vandesail rechargeable and waterproof dog training collar product review today. Comments are always welcome at the bottom of the page. Subscriptions are always appreciated. Thank you. And if you have any specific questions, comments, or suggestions, please email me at GadgetGuideUSA@gmail.com. Thank you for your time.